Now, I must say that this was the first spin off that I would be able to really say has something to do with some environmental impact, right? The first episode of The War Between the Land and the Sea, we initially, in the first opening scene, just seeing a fisherman attacking what appears to be a sea humanoid creature, right? That they caught, right? And then cut to unit, boots on the ground, finding the location, coordinate off, and doing all of the usual things that they would do to secure the area. And an unlikely individual gets added to that, right? A civilian who, at this point, we don't know much about him. Only thing that was referenced about him is that he met the doctor in passing, because the doctor was like, hey, whatever your name is, and just pass him, right? And I'm assuming it would have been the doctor that we know of from the previous serial that just, came out on Disney Plus. Now, he's like the substitute teacher, right? That's the way I look at it. He's like a substitute, and, like a substitute teacher, he goes in to this situation not having everything, right? And feeling quite like a fish out of water. So I'm guessing, in a way, you can say that probably this is what Russell T Davies wanted for this particular series, for him to be that fish out of water, even though he's a human being, right? And it's literally him and the fishes, that live in the sea, in the water. Yeah, so he gets dropped into the situation, trying to navigate it as best as possible. He doesn't have any credentials, right? So when everybody gets their special update and briefing from their device, when he get theme device and I try to access it, he gets access denied because, the person who is filling in for would have been much more experienced and would have had that, particular access. So when he gets to the location, when they get there, and that's when we actually get to see the fishman, if you want to call it that, or the creature, right? And that creature is obviously dead. The locals strung it up, by its arms. It's almost resembling in such a way. And there are some religious, symbolism that I think I can see coming out there as well, because it kind of look like Christ on the cross kind of thing, right? So, they're there, trying to figure out what to do next. The general, he's there basically just describing what's going on, because it's, they have intel on these sea creatures, and they call them sea devils before, but they don't want to keep using it as a derogatory term. So he's like, I could call them by a scientific name, Homo aqua. And he's like, somebody says, sir, no, not really. So them really would have named. They would have named something like Homo and something, erectus, because them can stand on two legs. And he's like, no, but think my name better. Homo aqua, better. That was, quite a little joke right there, right? Yeah. Things seem to kind of take a little slow pace here and there. So everybody, have the barracks set out and everybody, you know, goes in there, and, you know, our civilian friend, he is there just basically like, so I can't use my phone, and, you know, somebody's like, nah, you can't use your phone, bro. Right? We don't use a phone. It's, you know, the protocol not to use our phone when these things are happening. But he sneaks a look at his phone, and we see that he's getting some messages, because before this he would have been in a situation where he found himself leaving his spouse to come onto the mission. And of course, because, you know, it's a secret and all of that, him can't really reveal his work and all of that, you know. So she was messaging him, trying to get him attention and thing, and he can't message her, of course. Now, they all go to sleep, and while they're asleep, of course, you have, you know, people that watch the body up there and thing, you know, and these two unit officers, poor thing them. What happens is that the sea devils, they come for them, right? And in the midst of coming for them, they use some kind of thing to get the ground to basically become like quicksand, right? So firm ground, you know, they must stand up, and when they realize they must sink in it like quicksand, right? One of them, the lady, she just sink down in it and thing, and, you know, the other one, the guy, he decides him go try help her, so him step in it and end up going it, and the two of them get pulled down, right? And we can see that he was literally pulled by force. It's not like they went down, you know, because of the way how the ground became, right? Now, of course, we then see something rise up out of it, almost like, you know, when a whale or a dolphin or one of them creatures breaks the surface of water, you know, and just come up out of the sea, so, and just grab the body off of the thing and just, you know, pull it down and stuff. Of course, alarm goes off, you know, because they might have motion sensors or whatever and thing. And I don't know how in all these, you know, series or TV shows, we always find say that these things never go off at the time of a thing. They always find some way to say, oh, probably them technology advanced, so it don't trip the sensors right away. But I mean, if it's motion activated, it must have detected all those commotion and all them something there, right? They would have been, while the two unit officers were sinking, they were trying to radio out and things. So I guess the radios are still on, because it's that way that they found out, right? The general and the rest of the persons, they came into the section where the body was of the sea creature and them, and couldn't find them, and he was calling them on the radio trying to get them, and when he hears something coming from underneath their feet, right, and they have to literally dig until they find that the bodies were under there. Yeah. So little after that now, who finds say there is basically another sighting, right? And this time now is the sea creature standing there in the water, just a little bit out of reach, right? They go to the location and everybody assemble and thing, you know, and I tremble and think I don't know what go on, you know. The general him stand up and thing, them have a translator device turned on and all of these things, and start to talk to the creature and relate to the creature, say, hey, we've come in peace, we know what we do, yes, right? We admit, say, we shot one of your own and killed that one and thing, but you have to admit, say, you took two of ours and thing. And it, you know, that the conversation went pretty okay with the creature agreeing in its language and thing, and them you know, wait and hear, you know, the translation coming through, agreed, and agrees on all of the points. So that he made probably like about 4 or so points, right, or even more, and it agreed. And then it says something, and they're like, that agreed in a sound like agree by itself. Ask it to repeat itself. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, like, ask it to repeat itself. I was like, can you repeat what your last statement was? And it repeats, and it's like it has say, may I agree, but you have to go talk to everybody. And the translation was like, because it's translation, it's like, can come off a little bit, in incorrect and context, and I'm not understand it clearly. So at one point they thought, okay, it want to talk to, everybody and thing and whatever. When you realize it bring forth, right, call all of its other kind from out of the water, come up and stand up, right? And then say, we have to agree and thing, and because it's very threatening when them show off numbers, and it's almost like show of force. So everybody quake and shake and thing, and let me say, all right, but just reiterate, the general say, we come in peace, please. So yeah, they say that they want to talk to the whole of the world, not just unit, right? Which is something that unit would want to kind of keep, from going out in that way. It's not something that it necessarily wanted to be publicized that way, but hey, them never have no control, because the sea creature them take out all of that. Them do what them want a long time. Them set up them thing ready and thing, for sure themselves to the world. So look after that, we find that they are building, that's the unit and the governments, I guess, in Britain, them build like a little, they call it water tunnel or something, basically, and it connects up to one of the government building. So basically allowing water and stuff to come in, and then build a tank so that them can come in there and stuff and whatever. Yeah. And, we get introduced to Kate Lebridge Stewart again here. If you're not familiar with her, she is, prime Doctor Who, and thing. And the fact that we mention her name means I know who she is. I mean, there are so many things I could talk about her, but because I'm just trying to just get this out quick, I would say this lady is one half Doctor Who prime, candidate for companion, right? The only thing that doesn't make her a companion is because she is more of a military, she, have a military background, and she does not really, although, unit is supposed to be the doctor's own creation too, right? If you know the history of Doctor Who and thing. But yeah, not to get too sidetracked, she basically is coordinating this whole effort, and the day has come now for them to basically meet with the delegation that is going to be coming from the sea, right? And the delegation of Earth, right? So they have the Prime Minister of Britain online. So she was running down everybody and thing. And I noticed something very interesting, that when they mention the White House, they don't even make you hear, but it just sounds like somebody from the White House. It don't really sound like a leader from the White House, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, they went down the list, of course, other, member states and whatever and thing. The room packed with everybody and thing, and same guy, right? Whose name escapes me right now, but that gentleman is in the room, of course, and he's like, he's not used to it, right? And the mafia show him, say, come over here and thing and whatever. Anyways, it's them ready now because, you know, everything plug in and things. So them start to fill up the tunnel with the water and stuff. And at one point, it seemed like it wouldn't hold. And then they were able to stabilize things. And once they were able to stabilize things, we get the delegation from the sea coming in. Now, they are able to see on their monitors how many, beings coming, right? And they can identify, you know, based on their technology. Because unit is very, you know, up with them technology, right? But of course, because they use a lot of alien technology, they reuse alien technology in such a way, right? Yeah. And they find 3 of the bodies to be what they have encountered already, the Homo aqua, the Homo something like erectus, right? But they see 2 others and a third that they can't recognize. 2 that are similar, but they can't recognize, and 1 other that they definitely don't know. So as it finish full up and they come in and thing, and we see the 3 what we know already as a Homo aqua, and then we see 2 which they describe as big fish, you know, right? The third one is to come now, but don't reach in yet, you know. We don't see them all now, right? And they say, you know, basically they would have made some kind of agreement for say, you know, allow us to come inside, because they might come out of the tank for come inside, to literally be inside of the sitting, right? So see that the 3, right, the third creature that, you know, came in behind the 2, and so they were able to see them until they came out. And when we saw that the third creature was much more human-like, right? Think you don't know if you know Star Trek, right? Many persons might not be familiar with Star Trek, but in Star Trek, there is a Borg lady that looks the most human of all. So think about it like that. The rest of the Borg, them kind of look more, kind of monstrous, but she is more human-like because she have a human top, her head, and then the rest of the body is thing there. But yeah, that's basically how this creature looked. And of course, you can see that this is either the queen or the king, but you don't want to judge it yet, because you don't know, right? All right, so as you come out now and think, them say, all right, we need for, the ambassador, the person who they have as the ambassador, him start him speech and him going on and thing, and, he even gives a gift of a rare flower or something that grows above sea level and rare and thing, and it have special scent and thing, and invite them to smell it and thing, and them smell it and thing. This is without uttering a word from their side, from the seaside, right? The seaside. Now she starts to talk, right? It starts to talk, and it mentions that it doesn't know him, right? No, first it starts to talk, or they start because they were talking to it using the translator, and the translator was translating into the fish. I will call it the fish language, right? And it stopped it in the middle and say, hey, we can understand the translation and need it, you know what I'm saying? And so it start talking in English, and then it start talking in Russian to demonstrate that it can understand all languages. And him, ambassador just quickly just whip up a little Russian to one, them say, well played, and then he say everything nice and thing. Ambassador try to do all the little things them and whatever, right? As I mentioned before. No, they say, we don't know you, so we don't really want to talk to you. We want to talk to him. And of course, you know who I'm talking about. Yes, the same gentleman who was not supposed to be on the team, was a substitute teacher from the beginning. This dude is the one they want to talk to. And so that's where it ends. So I'm going to watch the next one now because, it was released back to back, right? So first one and second episode coming up after this.